Alright, hi everybody. This is the table for four. Uh, Today is our Sunday in review. I'd like to at least start that way because we have a doozy on our hands tonight. I'm Matthew.
I'm Connor.
I'm Gibson.
And I'm Gavin.
Alright, hi. Oh no!
Oh, you
we
didn't
have
you
relapse.
didn't mute it.
Okay, we're good. We're gonna have a little bit. Okay, anyway. With that out of the way, I'd like to just a Sunday in review. How I'd usually like it to work is we all say how our previous weeks went just for a little bit. Like I just worked all week. That's all I can say. Connor, you have a good week.
I mean, I worked. I didn't stream because I'm pretty bad. But maybe this week.
Wait, why aren't you streaming? Was
Yeah.
OBS still acting up?
Yeah, I drop frames like a butt.
Wow.
What's your bit rate?
It's like 1500.
Drop your bit rate.
It's gonna look
My
like
bit
garbage.
rate's like 250.
My
Yeah.
bit rate was at 1,000 before.
Connor had something, and now that it's gone, he wants it back.
I want it back.
Gibson, how was your week?
I did a little bit of work. I did a stream on Thursday. It was going fine, and then I died like 6 times in a stupid spot. So, if that didn't
stream.
happen, it would have been a great run.
Yeah, it was a pretty okay run, except for all the deaths. Like your movement was pretty good, but it's pretty bad deaths.
Yeah.
Show me your movement.
Gavin,
Yeah.
how was your week?
Yes.
I
I mean, as far as stream, I didn't get in practice where I wanted to with the game, which sucks. Because post skip is just hard.
yes.
It just takes practice. I got a lot better for the later dungeons, but I had some pretty crappy RNG at the beginning, and I lost. I was like consistently 7 seconds behind for like my first 2 dungeons. And then I made a silly mistake on the second dungeon boss,
It's not like
which cost me a 1 cycle.
and 1 cycles are pretty important, but like the 7 seconds isn't like awful.
Hmm.
I think that
I mean-
depends on the game.
I guess it does, definitely.
Although I
What if the
must
whole
say,
speedrun is 8 seconds long?
It's frustrating just to be behind consistently like that.
Yeah, I understand.
Especially when I know, like, the beginning of the game's pretty easy. It's just that RNG value.
I must say, I looked at your VOD and I really enjoy your Legend of Zelda layout.
I do too. That's such a
thank
good
you.
layout.
Thank you, thank you. It's actually really simple. I watched Banana stream and I saw her use translucent splits with a picture in the background. I was like, I kind of like that. I'm gonna steal it.
It's kind of simple.
That sounded pretty
even,
simple.
I have a Pinterest now, and I go on and I find Zelda stuff, and I pin it and I save it to my computer for when I want to stream, and just put it up there.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, I found a lot of Cuckoo related stuff, so that's gonna be up there. I may even like show like Easter egg kind of stuff if I don't want to speedrun one day, because there's some interesting stuff with like Cuckoo Revenge Squad and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And Mystery Seeds, my gosh, I can get a giant Cuckoo attacking me.
That'd be really not fun. It sounds like because I don't know. Every time, I guess we can kind of like start to transition into the talk. So like,
Our main topic.
is about cuckoos. Yes.
It's the main event, everybody. Are
Dude,
you
I
ready
love
to hear
Cuckoo so
Gavin
much.
yell at Matthew for a solid 30 minutes?
Yeah, we're gonna try to
Dude,
keep
that'd be
it
tough.
somewhere around 30 or 40 minutes. I'm gonna play a little bit of music. Just a little
Don't
bit.
get us muted.
We're
Don't
not-
get us
Don't
muted.
get us
Oh.
muted.
Oh, maybe I won't put.
Do we want the VOD muted or
Is
not?
it copyrighted?
It's a video game song, which is okay by Twitch standards.
It's
Sometimes. They still mute some video game songs.
Yeah,
I guess that's true. I don't think I've ever seen Donkey Kong Country 2 VOD muted. I must say. Although I don't know if we're ever, are we gonna talk about Donkey Kong Country 2?
Are you gonna pick it for your
I'd
series?
say.
I mean, whoa, we're talking about whether
Yeah.
games are good or not. and whether they can change over
I
the
mean,
years.
I just wanted some good music from
I
another
understand.
game. So like,
That's fine.
I mean, whatever we want to do. I don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
to play music.
You can press play.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe like.
But I think Donkey Kong Country 2 absolutely holds up to this day.
Well, see, that's what we're all talking about. It's like games and how they age and whether or not they even age at all.
Well,
Well, that
it's-
is my standpoint. Everybody.
What I believe isn't that the game changes, but that the standard or the quality of games improves over time. So older games were made with a lower standard of quality, and now that we've raised the bar, they're unable to hold up, because if you compare them to their modern peers, they're way worse.
And I sort of agree with that. Like, I feel like I have, like, I can't, like, put it into words as nicely as you did. You jamming out? You good?
Dude, I'm jamming. I don't have anything to add to this conversation right now.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just-
So, just, like, I mean, so something like when Ocarina of Time came out, it's like, that's my main example. Okay. Yeah. It's just, like, I talk about this with my brother all the time, and it's like, he's like, oh, this is such an amazing game, and I'm like, I feel like it's held up as, like, or people say it's an amazing game, but when I go back and play it, like today, it's just like, I don't really like it that much. And he's like, oh, that's because you've played a bunch of other games, and you've had experience with other games. I'm like, but wouldn't that be true for everything then? And it's like, if it was the first thing that I played, should it matter? Like, whether or not?
Yes, because if it's the first video game you're exposed to, your expectations are going to be... It's going to basically
have
be fresh.
expectations.
Yeah, you don't have expectations. The storytelling's going to be the best you've ever read.
But also the worst.
But also the worst, because you have nothing to compare it to.
Well, it can't be the best.
It'll
and
stand
the
alone.
worst.
Oh, but it
Yes,
can.
it can. It's
No,
the
no, no.
only.
That's like a paradox. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it can't be both.
The only
It's
way,
just the only one you've ever played.
the only way you'd be able to compare it is if you chose a different medium. Like, oh, this writing's not as good as that novel I just read. But that's kind of an unfair comparison,
Well,
I'd
I
say.
mean, I'm an asshole.
You don't gotta tell me.
So, like, I would do that anyway. Like, I think when I started really getting into video games, I really just compared it to anything I could. So you're right. I would be like, oh, this is like that novel read, or this is like that movie that I saw and I didn't like it as much, or something like that. So, like, I feel like no matter what, you'll always have something to compare it to, even if it would be your first video game. I don't know.
Yona,
Yeah.
how do you feel about this, Gavin?
I mean, why wouldn't you? I agree. Like, as a video game standard, you don't have anything to compare it to video game wise, as far as how video games tell stories and everything. However, like Matthew said, and we went to high school together, so I know for a fact that he relates it to just about everything going on in his life.
Yay.
Books, movies, that kind of stuff. He even wrote an essay on Bioshock Infinite for an English class in college. You can absolutely compare it to other modes of storytelling. Just like you compare books and novels. Like, you can look at the Harry Potter series, for an example. Or, was it Divergent or Hunger Games or something? You can look at how it translated from a book to a movie and all that kind of stuff, despite the fact that they're two different mediums for telling the story. And then you can even look at it from the Harry Potter book to the movie to the video game, and how different it is to tell the same story.
Yeah.
So you can absolutely compare the storytelling, but as far as gameplay and mechanics and everything, no, you don't have any expectation.
No, you don't, and I can agree with that. But it's still like in my mind, it like begs the question, because
Biggs, what question?
it begs the question. It's like, was it ever like good?
Yes.
But
Yes.
As you as a person grow, the older content that you experience naturally gets worse. That's just how it happens.
Naturally gets worse. So
Yes.
anything.
Well, I guess if it really is just
That's
that
what-
solid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like something like. Think of something.
Like, I got gifted a game by my friend Scott called Battle Paths, which I can guarantee to you is newer than Ocarina of Time. But it's an awful game. It's absolutely
I
awful.
don't know what you're talking about. Running into people to attack them with a sword? That works.
You just run, and it's awful pixel graphics. It looks like it was like my first video game.
It looks like it was made in Scratch.
It does.
Scratch.
But some things just hold up better, and that's something to consider. But I think generally, as you move forward in time, games get better.
Well, see, and I can agree with, as you move forward, technology will always improve. Well, always. Technology
Should.
has improved, at least in the past or whatever. So, with graphics, with storytelling, most of it's gotten better, but some of it still falls short. And like some of it was really good when video games started first coming out. Like something, if you look at individual aspects, like by themselves. So something like the original Super Mario Brothers. Storytelling, there's like none.
Sure.
But as far as player choice goes, and it's like, oh, well, you can say this for anything. It has like one of the greatest, I think, decision-making mechanics like ever. So like, and no one really thinks about it. I watched an extra credits video on
Sure.
the level design of
Mario.
Super Mario Brothers. Yes. And basically, what they said, it was just like every single time you choose to jump, or if there's like a platform in front of you, like say you're walking on the ground, and there are like the blocks above you.
Mm-hmm.
If you choose to go on those blocks, you've just chosen like a completely separate path, and it's like, I don't know. And see, that's what it is. It's like that was a pioneer. It was like a pioneer. It set the way for like a lot of good level design later on.
It was innovative.
It was, and it's like I play it today, and I'm still like, this is genius.
I don't know. I think I've gone back to play Super Mario Bros. And I've been like, I could be playing any other platformer right now, and it'd be better than this.
So what you're saying is Super Mario is the worst platformer.
I mean, yeah, from what I played.
Worse than Super Mario 2?
I never played Doki Doki.
I mean, it doesn't matter what you played. You straight up said it was the worst.
I mean, I also feel like Super Mario 2 is, in and of itself, a different type of game.
Yeah, it's definitely a different game.
But Super Mario Bros. Is worse than Super Mario Bros. 3, which, I don't know whether World came before or after 3.
It came after.
Actually, you said Worlds is your favorite.
World is my favorite. The absolute best 2D platforming Mario title.
But I feel like that's a little weird for you to say, because that is just a better, graphically better, and more thought out version of Super Mario Brothers.
Which
More thought
lends
out.
it to being better.
I suppose. And that
Those were
actually
both
is,
improvements that you said.
yeah,
It's graphically more appealing and more thought out. So why wouldn't it?
like
be
the
better?
level design is. And I can understand, but like what I guess what I'm trying to get at is why he is like saying that Super Mario Brothers, the original, is one of the worst platformers he's ever played. When the
But
launch
worse.
pad for that's what I'm saying, but the launch pad for that for Super Mario Brothers 3 was the original Super Mario Brothers.
I mean, that's fine, but shouldn't it be expected that that the first game in a series should probably be the least good?
No. I don't think that should be an expectation.
So
So
do
you don't think every single one after it should improve?
I think that they
What-
shouldn't.
What he's saying is it's not impossible for the sequel to suck.
Well, I understand that sequels can be bad, but I don't think that should be an expectation that's automatically placed on the developer. Like a developer announces a sequel and people go, "Why bother? The first game's going to be better."
Well, of course, you can always strive to improve, and that's probably what you should try to do, is strive. But it doesn't always come out that way. It's like, sometimes the first game is better, and it's like, that's what I really, like, want to convey, and, like, I'm really bad at talking. So it's like, just because a game came out earlier or later, it's like how people work with experience, like...
What are you trying to... Is there a specific example that you were thinking of?
Yeah, give me a second.
I mean, I loved Ocarina of Time personally, but I still think it's probably one of the lesser 3D Zeldas.
Yeah, I don't know, like... Oh, that's what I was trying to... I'm sorry. I got off track because I was trying to... Yeah, so with like, a person, you can get more experience by spending a lot of time in one craft. So, like, I'm working at Madios right now, right?
Sure.
And it's like, I'm getting experience in the pizza crafting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, now I have experience and other people will hire me based on that experience. It's just like, but the time that I spend does not equal the experience that I earn. The experience is based on me and not how much time I spend in the business.
Sure, but generally, the more time you spend in the business, the more
I
you'll have time to improve.
There's a direct correlation between the two.
Yeah, that's like saying to become a pro athlete, the amount of practice you put in the sport doesn't matter.
Well,
Because
I
it's
didn't.
more about
I didn't say it doesn't matter.
He's saying it's more about the quality of the practice you're
rather
doing.
Yeah,
than the
sure.
quantity of the time.
Like,
Okay.
if you're, say,
Yeah.
you're practicing soccer or whatever, and the only practice you do is dribbling the ball up and down the field, congratulations, you're the best dribbler ever, but you're not great at the game because you haven't done anything else.
Sure.
Thank you.
I knew what you were getting at. I just wanted to click on it.
So, how would you link that to games? I feel like
I feel like, so, with video games, I feel like just because a game has been around longer, or the era that it premiered in shouldn't matter. I feel like you should look at, and this is what this is why I'm also like a hypocrite, because I do compare it to like other things, like I compare it to other video games, I compare it to like books, movies, but I feel like in a perfect world, which it isn't, you should try to judge it solely based on like what you think of it, and like as itself a standalone game. It's like what it can do, what it did do for you, and what you thought it could have done better. Because like when you try to compare it with other things, it just kind of gets like a jumbled mess, and everyone just like talks in circles.
I think I feel differently. In a perfect world, you should compare games to other games, their peers, because when you think about like I want to play this game, it's a time investment, right? So you're gonna play anywhere between 6 to 15 hours in a platformer, I would say, depending, or you could do more because of replayability. But you look at that time, and I guess the general thing that comes up is I could be spending this time better, or with something that I would get more enjoyment out of. So if you look at a game like Ocarina by itself, it's like, yeah, I could play that and enjoy it. Or I could play a game like Skyward Sword, which looks better, has better controls, I would say, better camera, and I think the quality of playing would generally be higher than Ocarina. And it's like, okay, I'll spend my time at Skyward Sword.
But wouldn't you say that it's unfair to base that off of general opinion? Why wouldn't you play it for yourself, judge it, and then play the next game? You're saying it's not even worth your time at all. And that's merely based off of an assumption that you took from other people's opinions.
I guess that's true, but that's why things like game reviews and gameplay videos can help out, because you can
And
look at it and see like, okay, this works like that, and it gives you a general feeling for it.
A general feeling, but it doesn't substitute playing the actual game.
I think it doesn't substitute, but it gives enough to reach that conclusion of should I play it or not.
Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to Game Informer and have your reviews and like whatnot. I'm just saying you should play a game. You don't have to expect it to be perfect, but when you do play it, you can judge it, and it'll be okay that it's not perfect, but you can always look at it and see how else it could be better.
Now, you see, the problem I have with that is that I think you should try to want the game to be as perfect as possible, because this isn't just playing the game. You're going out and, depending on the time, you're spending money for this game.
I understand.
It's not like it can just go away. You're going to have that game forever, or as long as you own
Yeah,
the
as long as
copy.
you own it.
And depending on the time, if you say got Ocarina, this might be a time where like Blockbuster is still around. You don't even need to own the N64. You can just rent it with the game, and that's a very different experience from now, where that's not necessarily true. And it's like, okay, do I want to like shell out $40-50 on this game called Skyward Sword? People say it's kind of bad, but I really like Zelda, so should I try this or should I get another action adventure? And I think that's really important to consider.
And I think
What
it
are
is-
we talking about?
I
I don't even understand what this discussion is over anymore.
I guess it did. get a
I think
little
old games
lost in
are bad.
translation.
Except for Super Mario
Games are
World.
bad.
That game's gold.
Basically, it's just like, I don't know. I think too generally today people try to like, I don't know, when you disregard a game entirely just because of what other people say. Like, I just want people to play it for themselves, basically, and like how games like age, and it's just like, oh, this was the greatest game of all time, and it's just like, well, did you play it? It's like, did you think about it while you were playing it? It's like, well, I was just playing it to have fun. I was like, well, did you have fun, or were you just wearing your nostalgia glasses?
This
And
was
it's like,
the most fun I've ever felt. Which makes it the best game ever.
yeah,
Gives you don't even know how to feel fun.
Can they not have an opinion on it though? That it's
Oh.
the best game ever?
they can definitely have that. I just like
That's just challenging their opinion.
when I say like, it's like Connor's kind of right, but no, I don't want it to sound like that.
I mean, I'm pretty right. I haven't even said anything, and I'm right.
You just did say something.
It's like Gibson doesn't know how to feel fun,
Yeah,
which
Yeah.
is true.
They can have the opinion. It's just like when you have an opinion like that big and like a statement that big, and it's like, do you have the means to back it up? And it's like, if it's just, I had fun with this game, I guess it's okay, and I can't
Why
really
isn't
say
that
you're
enough,
wrong.
though?
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I can't really say they're
Because
wrong.
Matt looks for more in games than do I play it and it's fun. He wants to see the hard work and the quality put into games, and when people just say like, I pressed the buttons and had fun, he kind of like writes off their opinion as it's a low tier opinion I don't take much value in, which is fine to gauge opinions like that. It's just when those other people don't get other people to agree with them on that opinion, like Matt, it's like, oh, Ocarina was best game ever because it was fun, and Matt's like, wait, what? There's so many things wrong with this game, and he lists out things. People are like, man, you just don't know how to have fun. This game was awesome, and Matt gets upset at that, which is understandable.
They doubt his quality of fun.
Yeah, Matt, my fun's better than yours.
That's what most people tell me. Connor pretty much hit the nail on the head. I don't know how to say it better than that, but I just like video games, man.
I like the
I like
video
it.
I like to
games,
have fun
man.
with video games.
I like to have fun with video games too, but I also like to see what the ideas of like the authors were, like what they were thinking and stuff. Like, can I see that with this storytelling? Can I see what they were trying to make me feel, and it's like stuff like that. And it's like that's fun for me, like dissecting a game.
Alright, well, is there anything else we want to explore, or...
I think the general consensus is we still all have our opinions, which will be the same for every discussion, but I feel like we at least understood each other more.
We hit all the points, the bases.
I think so. And I think as a whole, we at least, like, I understand more.
What was this discussion about?
I just wanted to talk about, like, okay, so when a game comes out, it's like, is it the same? People treat it differently based on the time period they're in, and I don't think that's fair.
And why is that not fair?
Because it's the same game from way back when, and you should treat it like the same game. But people don't know what the character.
Take it out of context.
I don't know about out of context, but you definitely
That
don't.
is out of context. It's out of its time period. You're saying because it came out in the 90s, you should compare it to the games that are coming out today in the same exact way, when they had different technology available to them and everything.
Well,
and
I didn't say
their
that.
experience in game making was not the same.
I didn't say that.
That's what I hear, though.
Okay, well then I will try to not make it that way, because I didn't. That's exactly what I don't want to happen. It doesn't have to be like you compare it to
See,
another game.
This is what I was talking about before stream when I said I was going to destroy you, because that's what it sounded like you were saying about Ocarina of Time. That it's an awful game because Zelda's out now are better.
That's not at all what I said. That's
what it sounded like to me.
Okay, well then we didn't accomplish anything with the stream then. You guys have fun, Jasmine?
Yeah.
Gibson's just
Dancing.
copying my dance moves. Gibson, do you think Ocarina of Time was a good game?
When it came out, yeah.
Do you think it still is a good game?
No.
Why?
Why? Because there are just so many better things.
Such
Like,
as?
the choices that it chose were so basic.
What choices?
Choices like the dungeon designs, like, oh, you go into a room, you hit the diamond, okay? Or like, you go into a room, oh, you have to kill 4 enemies, the door opens. It's really...
Skyward Sword.
basic.
What changed through time
Well, yeah,
to
let
make
me
that
change- let me-
bad?
Yeah.
How did
let me-
that start good and then end up bad?
Skyward Sword uses those exact same mechanics in a lot of its dungeons.
Sure.
Kill a
and-
room full of enemies to get the door open.
Well, no, it's not
Whack
that...
a diamond to make the door open.
It's not that kill room or diamond room in itself is bad. It's the difference between entering a room and having 4 enemies to entering a room and there are 4 enemies placed throughout the room that you have to navigate to, and that makes you experience a different, like, the scenery is different. I feel like the map design in general adds to the different types of room.
Alright, so you said Ocarina of Time had basic dungeon design.
Like that is
Why was that good then?
Because that was the only game with a dungeon.
That doesn't mean it's good.
That's what I'm
That
saying.
that exactly does mean
I
it's
know,
good.
At least I can beat Gibson in an argument.
No.
I got that.
That does mean it's good.
No, that doesn't mean it's good. It could be the best, but not be good. Just because it's the only thing doesn't mean it's the best or the good thing.
No, I feel like when there's nothing, when you can't compare it to something that's better than it, then it is good because that's what the standard's at.
I could play Ocarina of Time and be like, this is bad, but it's always been this way, Connor. You know what? You're right.
Well,
That's
no,
not good
because you playing it right now would already change your opinion because you've played things that do the same thing that Ocarina does, but better.
That makes Ocarina
You know,
not good.
I think I can agree that good and best are separate ideas.
I think that's
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Connor was talking about that a little bit. I think that's really important to clarify right here.
Yeah.
He's saying Ocarina is bad, but it was the best at its time. And that stuff has gotten better over time, and it's good now. So it's the best compared to Ocarina and everything. I personally don't think Ocarina was bad with its level design and everything. Maybe more simple than games and everything, but that doesn't mean bad in my opinion.
Well, that's like something. So something when I talk to Gibson about game design, I feel like he doesn't go into enough. And this is no like, I hope this isn't like, this is no
You
like
firing
shot.
shots
Yeah, that's
at
what I
me?
just. I know I was about to say that.
That's a poop on my opinions?
Gibson, I was literally about to say I wasn't firing shots.
You totally,
some shots
you
right
totally ruined me and Gibson's vibe right there.
It's just like when I talk to Gibson about game design, it's just like he doesn't go through like specifics a lot of the time, and it's like so with the map design and like the enemy design, a lot of the things that Ocarina does or that Skyward Sword does, they both share like in common. It's just like a lot of the maps were like, what did you say, complex? What was the word you used? You had to explore the scenery more. And there was like in the Shadow Dungeon specifically I think in the Spirit Temple you had to navigate a good bit of the room to find all the enemies.
Sure.
Like it wasn't just, oh, here's a room, here's some enemies, kill them. And Skyward Sword does it the exact same way.
Except because of hardware limitations, the rooms in Ocarina are generally smaller and more contained. The textures don't convey as much as what you could do on a more recent system.
I would agree that some of the rooms are smaller, but definitely not all of them. Like I said with the Spirit Temple and like, oh no, and then there was one with the Fire Temple. There's this big room where it's like 4 different portions, and it's like one's a kill room portion, and it's like you couldn't explore them all at once, but once you beat all of them individually, you could access the entire thing as a whole for ease of access.
Sure,
And
but that might be a big room in Ocarina, but the maps in Skyward Sword are generally really large. Like, it feels like an open world. And even, like, the dungeons feel fairly large. But one large dungeon doesn't really, like, negate that, because there's just less you can do on the system.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not just one large dungeon. That was only an example I had. One
Sure.
example. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't feel like we go specific enough. And a lot of times,
I mean,
it's not like...
even though I want to say something about this large dungeon being better kind of thing, it's still just as linear.
That's also
There
something
was no
important.
change in the mechanic at all. Yeah, sure, you get to see something, but you waste more time running around a giant room to kill
Gavin.
enemies.
Gavin.
But is it a
What?
waste?
Gavin, I love you. That's like my number one point when I'm like critiquing stuff. It's like, and
See,
it
I knew what you were trying to get out right here, and you just weren't saying it.
because I don't know how to.
Just destroy his opinion right there.
No, because
Send
I
this man to the
completely
Shadow Realm.
Whoa, I completely disagree that it's... Just because you have to spend more time in a room doesn't necessarily make it a waste.
Well, did you learn anything new from that room in the
Did you
dungeon?
just get to see more textures? Updated
That looked
textures?
pretty, and generally that is what's more important to you with how
Sure.
things look and
I
how
think that's
characters.
fine. I don't think you have to learn something every room.
I don't feel like you have to learn something, but I think that going through a giant open room with the same objective that you would have had in a smaller, less detailed room is about the same. The experience is about the same.
I don't
So you don't
know.
find any value in grandeur?
I don't personally. I know some people do.
You
I
don't
think-
you don't think that a large, intricate room
Intricate.
it's still the same objective.
Is it really
and it's still the same
intricate?
idea,
It's
but it's
Same
more
linear idea.
but it's more brightly decorated and it conveys a different message than even a smaller room with the
Intricate.
same decor.
Intricate's different than how it appears. Intricate would have more to do with the map layout and
I'm
less
saying-
to do with how it appears.
Well, let's just go back to the textures. The walls and everything, they look fantastic. It conveys a whole atmosphere of the room. But if that was condensed, it wouldn't work. So someone might design an idea for a room and then be like, well, could this work smaller because the hardware or whatever? It's like, no, it really can't. It needs to be this big. The size of the room itself does not convey its value.
Well, yes, I agree.
But what I'm saying is, like, Cool, but why couldn't this room be smaller? Well, because maybe it needed to be big.
It might need to be big. I'm just saying, like, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's not really a difference. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like the idea is still the same. The objective is still the same, but you're using more of your time on that one idea. That's the same objective.
You're enjoying this big room that this guy designed.
I understand that, but like I said, personally, I don't enjoy grandeur.
As far as atmosphere and everything, still using Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword as an example, okay? Skyward Sword has a lot of atmosphere with its artwork and textures and graphics and everything. I absolutely loved the game. However, playing through Ocarina of Time, yes, the graphics and textures are more simple compared to Skyward Sword. However, when you're in the Shadow Temple or at the bottom of the well, wherever, I was still scared as all get out getting through those dungeons. And whenever I was in, what's another area? The Spirit Temple, I still felt reverence because it was this whole temple and everything made with light to be a huge part of it. I still felt an atmosphere.
Yeah, it definitely, a lot of it depends on like personal preference and stuff, but a lot of it also depends on how well executed it was. And better graphics or worse graphics, it definitely just like, it's all of it working together, I feel like, and not just the walls look prettier, so the room is more intricate. Like, that doesn't exactly, it's not what it's about. And it can be what it's about for some people, but I just like, when you look at it, you say, this map design is better, or this level design is better, and you say, why is it better? And it's like, because I like the way that the walls look more. And it's like, well, now you're talking about the aesthetic and not the map design.
Sure, but I think the aesthetic is still important to a point because, like, say I play 2 dungeons, one in Ocarina and one in Skyward Sword. They both take 30 minutes to complete.
Okay.
But because Ocarina generally has less colors to use and less textures, it visually gets boring after maybe, say, 10 minutes, where the dungeon in Skyward Sword is visually interesting for maybe 20 minutes before I get like, okay, I'm ready to get done with this dungeon. And I feel like that is really important for the quality of life of your dungeons. You don't want your player to go through the dungeon that you've designed and go, they should want to explore it. They shouldn't get through a portion of it and be like, can I be done already?
Well, I agree completely that you don't want your player to say, can I be done with this dungeon?
I think that matters more what's in the rooms.
Thank you. That is what I would agree with too. But I will still take your example and poop on it.
Oh, that's good to destroy your opinion.
So like with what was the statistic? That's why I said like you offer me specific things. Yeah, you offer me specific things, and then like you kind of forget about them, like you did just now. It's like 30 minutes. 30 minutes for one.
I don't know if I used a statistic.
I didn't mean statistic. That wasn't the right word.
Yeah.
The 30 minutes.
9% of statistics are made up.
What about that one?
So you're talking about the 30-minute room?
Yeah, the room
example.
So what did you say about the Ocarina one? You said it has less textures generally.
And less colors to explore.
Less colors maybe, but textures were definitely still bountiful on the N64.
Well, I can't imagine being able to say like the amount of that's not comparable. The amount of textures on the N64.
Listen, they're not comparable. They're not comparable to something like on the Wii U or on the Wii. But they don't need to be comparable for a 30-minute dungeon. For a 30-minute mini dungeon. Let's compare. And that's actually a perfect example. Ganon's temple in Ocarina of Time versus the what's the when you get the Triforce Gavin, what's it called? The Skyward Sword thing. It's like the goddesses. It's like when you're inside of the goddess, the temple.
Dude. Oh, the temple. Never mind.
I don't remember.
I don't remember what it's called either.
It's been so long since I played.
But it's the puzzle where you can like you shift all of the pieces.
Oh, you shift the temple. I remember what you're talking about.
So those generally probably take about the same amount of time.
Sure.
And they're they both have differing aesthetics, and like each room you go to isn't the same. Like one's a grass temple, one's a fire portion, and that's true for both Ganon's temple and the Skyward Sword temple.
Mm-hmm.
So them both taking about the same amount of time, them both using equal amount of textures.
I think the same themes don't mean the same thing as the same textures. Like,
I agree. But I don't think it matters. I think having a theme can still present a what's it called?
What's it called, man?
The atmosphere as well as another with better
Sure.
textures or more textures. Like I said, I think quality is better and not quantity. Just
Right.
because you have more textures doesn't make it like feel any.
it's
More.
not necessarily that it feels better. I can definitely understand that a strong theme can lend to your atmosphere a lot, but when you only have so much to work with, it does get visually boring after a certain amount of time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think, like, for Ganon's temple, it's like, that's why it's like they were mini dungeons and then you went and fought Ganon. Like, the mini dungeons were short enough to where you didn't get bored. They were like, maybe you spent like 5 minutes on one and then you were done with the idea. And then you go on to the next one. And there was about 6 of them, so that's pretty true.
Alright.
So that's 30 minutes, then you go fight Ganon. And the same can be said for Skyward Sword. Maybe not the same because that was a long temple. But they are comparable.
Alright. Would you say the quality of those temples are also comparable?
I would say no, just because of how Skyward Sword handled the mechanic of
The moving temple?
the moving
But
temple.
in terms of, like, visuals, which was, like, the original point, because I understand it gets a lot more complicated when you add the other mechanics.
Mhm.
But in terms of visuals, you'd say they were comparable?
I would say so. Just in accordance with theme and atmosphere is what you're asking me?
Sure.
Then yes.
Okay.
I think it's important to have good mechanics and not just pretty walls.
Okay. Everything's a part of the big picture.
I understand. I definitely understand that. Gavin, I definitely
Yes.
was not saying earlier that Ocarina of Time was worse than any modern day Zeldas. In fact, I think it's better than some modern day Zeldas.
Okay, good. It's a good game. I enjoyed it.
I didn't enjoy it, but I definitely enjoyed it more than I did others. Do you have anything?
I mean, Majora's Mask was the best one.
I didn't finish that one. I didn't finish that.
Majora's Mask was really good.
It's basically Side Quest the game, the movie the game.
Everybody loves side quests.
Well, that's really interesting too. Maybe we could like do that for a different day. But like, maybe it has something to do with the like a similar theme in that like games aging. No, that's like an expectation thing because it's like I don't want. That's something that I don't want in my Zelda game. It's like it has side quests, but it's like I don't know because like I play it and I'm like, where's the main plot? And then I play the 4 dungeons or like 4 or 5 dungeons that it has, and I was like, that was really short. Where was all of the meat? And it's like in the side quest, and I was like, that's not a Zelda game. And then I kick myself because I'm like, you're stupid. You
I
shouldn't
mean-
think that way.
That's pretty stupid, because it's definitely a Zelda game.
It is
It's right in the title.
Where's Zelda?
Players are
You see her in the beginning.
And it would,
You have a flashback.
you do have a flashback
Yeah.
of Ocarina.
Good job, Kevin. I totally knew that.
And then she just poof.
Man, it's all a dream anyway.
It's Link's Awakening.
Link's dead.
Spoilers.
Where's-
Also,
where's
Aonuma
the rug
deconfirmed
fish?
that.
Who did what?
Aonuma, the director of Zelda, deconfirmed that.
He's lying.
That's funny. Alright, I think I'm done. I understand everyone better now, at least some. That's kind of what I wanted.
I do feel like I've taking a look-see into the minds of you three and Connor that doesn't think I know how to have fun.
You don't know how to fun, Gibson. I know how to fun.
Gavin, it's okay. We know how to fun.
You see me jamming out to this music this whole time? I know how to fun.
I'm ready to get muted.
To get what?
Muted.
All right. I think. Gavin, do you have anything else?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Gibson,
I'm good.
Connor.
There's some good music.
We have been on Table for 4. We'll be back. I have the Mad Mondays tomorrow. I will be streaming probably Borderlands
Today.
2. Oh yeah, today. I'll probably be streaming Borderlands 2. Titanium Tuesday is next. We have day off on Wednesday. Pixel Thursday. I don't know what you're doing.
Try Cave Story.
Probably Case Story. And then hopefully you'll be able to stream for Fabulous Friday.
We're probably gonna play Vanilla Isaac. Because if it drops frames, I won't notice.
And then I will have the capture card by next week, so we will probably have a Smash Saturday for the first time
Yay.
ever.
Because the capture card will actually work.
Hopefully.
Yay! Hopefully, yeah.
That's the idea.
Otherwise, I'll just buy a new one on Friday. That's when I get paycheck.
Nice.
We've been a Table
And have
4.
it shipped overnight.
Yeah, no. You
Hey,
can buy them in like the Apple
go to
Store.
Fry's and go buy one.
Yeah,
That works too.
yeah, that would be faster. I'm Matthew,
I'm Connor.
I'm Gibson.
And I'm Gavin.
and we will see you all next time.
Bye-bye.
Oh boy.